Part 5 is changing the subject of a formula. And for each of these questions, I'm asking you to get x all on its own. And they get progressively more difficult as they go through. And I've put a couple of these in the assessment that you'll do in the first couple of weeks, just to make sure you're okay with these. I'm trying to get x all on its own here, so I want to get rid of this add 1. So I'm going to do y add 1 equals 7x. And now to get the x all on its own, divide by that 7. I get y add 1 divided by 7. There's that one done. This one here has got to divide by 4 to get rid of first, so let's times both sides by 4. And then just going to take off the 5. And continuing the fractions idea here, this one here, I need to get rid of this divide by 3. There's a couple of ways I could do it. I could times it all by 3 first, and that would give me 12y equals x, and be careful here, take away 6. And so x is 12y add 6. Or maybe you did it the other way around. Maybe you took off the minus 2 first. So that would give you 2y add 2 equals x over 3, and then times by 3, 2y plus 6 is equal to x. Of course you're going to get the same answer. It has to give the same answer. We just did it in different ways. Going down to the next section then, is number 4. Step 1, let's get rid of this divide by 9, so let's times by 9. And also at the same time, let's divide by that 4. That gives me 3x, take away 5 now. So what I've got to do now is add this 5 on and divide by 3. Now, what I don't really want to see is all of that divided by 3. It's true, but not particularly nice. If you're going to divide something by 4, but you're also going to divide it by 3, well, that means you're dividing everything by 12. If you divide it by 4 and divide it by 3, you might as well just divide by 12. On question 5, we're starting to have a slightly different method of doing these. We're still bringing all the x's together. So I'm going to take off these x's here, and I'm also going to take off the 3 there. And I'm now going to have to, like we did in the last exercise, factorize this. There's an x there, and an a take away b. And so the last line now is to divide by that a take away b. I do this method quite a lot. Here I'm going to do the same thing, but first of all I'm going to have to multiply out the brackets. So multiplying out the brackets, what was that exercise part 1? But bringing these together, I think I'm going to add those 2k's over here. And I'm going to take off these 3x's there. I paused for a minute to decide which side I wanted to put things on. And I put it that way round because if I put it the other way round, I was going to get a few negatives, and I was just going to avoid the negatives. Factorizing this side here gives me a k minus 3. That's just the same. And my last line then is dividing both sides by the k minus 3. If I had done it the other side, I'd get the same answer, but there'd be some negative changes here. Maybe I'll do that again. Let's do that down the side here. So if instead I'd actually done 3x's take away kx's, so taking that off there, and then on that side I had minus k minus 3a, I'd still be factorizing out here. But look at all these minuses over here, isn't that annoying? And so I'd now be minus 2k minus 3a all over 3 minus k. You might be thinking that those two things are different. But if I times top and bottom by minus 1, so times all of this by minus 1, and times all of this by minus 1, you can see actually we've got exactly the same answer as we had before. Question 7 then, again it's the same sort of thing but a bit more tidying up beforehand. I'm going to bring that up to the top there, so I've got y lots of the bracket at the bottom. I'm going to multiply out the bracket, And now I'm going to gather together the x's. Which side should we put them on? Let's put them on this side over here, because then I can add those two y's there. Much nicer to keep them added. And factorize out the x. And final line will be to divide by that big bracket there. I can't write quick enough now, can I? So 5y minus 2, and there's your x. So we divided by that bit there. What should we do with the last one? We've got these fractions to deal with. So we're going to times everything by a, but we're also going to times everything by b. So this times by a, we'll get rid of that. Times by b, we'll put a b on the top. This times by a and times by b. And this times it by a gives us ax, and times it by b gets rid of that. Bringing all the x's over onto the left here. I mean, that was the hardest step, getting rid of the fractions. Now we're just repeating what we've done a few times. And factorize out and divide by that. So I think the skill that you're practicing here with the from here onwards, this factorizing out, would be worth looking over if you've not seen it before. Just look for some rearranging equations questions.